Okay, today I have two different things I was thinking I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to do two different tapes. Try and stay focused on one subject. Okay, so one of the subjects I was thinking about was balance, like finding your own balance. And one of the things, like for me, I've talked about before, is that I hadn't developed that part of myself to protect myself. Not in like, I mean, like, I've got horrible fight or flight. I fight. Not in that kind of situation, but more in just like daily life or something, is like for me to have a buffer, where I felt like I had something that protected me from the rest of the world. And, oh God, let me start. And anyways, so I kind of relied on men to do that. Plus, when I was younger, I was born, it was more defined roles, kind of. So to me, and it was something that, girls, you just need to be nice. And that's not the case. Girls have to be able to protect themselves. They need to be taught right off the bat how to protect themselves, how to have a second sense or sixth sense, whatever, to have a sense when, to trust themselves when something doesn't feel right, to know, like, and that when somebody's being rude to you, that's them. That's on them. That has nothing to do with you. And, but for me, I didn't develop that side of me until after my brain injury. I always relied on someone else, and it would get me into this more of a predicament where my protection was up to them. And, just like that time when, even though it was like a short kidnapping of whatever, 10 or 15 minutes, it was very traumatic in my life. I thought that was it. I thought I was definitely a goner. And once my dad found out about that, to not even let my mom call the cops or anything like that, that's someone else deciding when and how and where to protect you, right? And I was just a little kid. And so, I don't know, but it definitely skewed that throughout my life, for sure, because there was a lot of times where I felt like the person I am putting my protection in their hands is actually the one I need to be protected from. So, it's got all these twists that make no sense. But I had to do a lot of healing to get to that point and see all that, because we develop these patterns to survive. And we're all, well, for so long, we were all so brainwashed, and we were all so stuck in these like lower chakras and just on autopilot and always reacting to one another, and always frustrated. And, the frequency is keeping us on edge and all of the stuff. And, and all they want you to do is just go pop a couple pills and, maybe stop and get some alcohol, get a gun maybe, because then, they can have a shootout. The stuff is just so ridiculous, how they go about handling things. And then I just hope people wake up faster and they gotta start seeing how ridiculous stuff is. But anyway, so when I was giving that over and not developing it myself, then it's up to them what or when or how I need to be protected throughout everything. So, say that like you go and I don't know why it's kind of popping into my head, like when my kids were little, going and trying to talk to a teacher. And there was with one of my kids, there was a lot of conflict because she didn't fit into their little structure. And so, I would end up feeling pushed around and not listened to or whatever. And so then, if I'm relying on someone else to stand up for me and I say, oh, poor me, and then they go, well, too bad, grow the fuck up. And I'm feeling like I need to be protected. You see, like there's like this disconnect or something, because I should just be doing it for myself. I should be assertive back and say, excuse me, you will not talk to me that way. This is my child. And, I'll make the decisions. And so, that's empowering yourself. You don't have to fight with people. You don't have to be rude or bitter or angry or spiteful, vengeful, or anything like that. But being assertive, just saying how you feel. And, that takes a lot of learning too. And the learning, we have a lot of unlearning to get to the part of learning. But assertive, you have to know what you want. You have to be clear what you want. You have to be sure of yourself, and and then just putting it out there. And so many of us are so scared to be vulnerable about everything, and we're always constantly protecting ourselves. We use like weapons and shields, like words and language and behaviors, and we're always trying to like outsmart each other, one up each other and stuff like that, when that's all like taught behavior. That's not our natural way of being. So that's why I say there's like an unlearning to start learning. But so say, for instance, yeah, for mine, I think a lot of girls can kind of relate to that, of thinking like, my husband, my boyfriend, or whoever should be protecting me in these situations when this person's mean to me. And we should not give any of our power away like that. We shouldn't think anyone's going to come in and save us, because it puts it in their hands, and then that causes friction. But also it weakens our own abilities, because we aren't expanding our own self, our own consciousness, in our own, because it's an expansion of self, all of the things that you do to take care of yourself. So, like for a guy, let's say, maybe he feels like he doesn't want to learn how to cook. He needs the kind of wife that she's a good cook. She likes to clean. That's the kind of woman he needs. And, he's going to find one just like that, just like his mom, who took care of him when he was little. And so he goes out, he finds this woman, and she's just like the most sweetest woman. She's just will do anything. She'll take care of the kids and stuff like that. And then he starts finding, well, there's other things that are missing in this relationship. She does all these things, but there's something missing. And, well, you shouldn't be not developing those skills in yourself, and then thinking that this person is going to fulfill everything because that they do those things, because that is not going to fulfill you. It's not going to expand you. It's not going to make you any better. And generally, then there's this other thing that's missing, these other disconnects, because you can't use someone else to fill some part of you that you need to develop in yourself. So, it is really important. So when you want to go out and look for a relationship, it should be based on, connection and resonance and, direction in life. And relationships don't have to be permanent. We need to be able to accept that not everything has to be permanent, that relationships have a shelf life. I mean, some people can be in the same relationship their whole entire life and learn and expand self, and that's some people's journey, but it's not everybody's journey. We can't make everybody fit in the same journey. So we can't have all these restrictions and all these rules. We have to find our own self and find our own rules, and not be scared that if we don't fit into the societal parameters of their rule structure, that means that we are somehow failing, or a bad person, or that's just one of the agendas that's pushed, is compliancy. And they want us to underdevelop ourselves. They want us to be easily manipulated. So the more you develop yourself, the more you can't be manipulated. So if, say, that guy, instead of, doing that, just going out, like he's going to find this perfect woman because she's going to cook and clean like his mom, that instead he, spent some time cleaning up for himself. So maybe he just understood how much work it is. So he was more respectful when he was in a relationship to take care of his own self, not depend on someone else to take care of him. And then say, he doesn't know how to cook. He's constantly making frozen pizza or something. Well, the way to expand self and meet people that you have something in common with, or maybe meet somebody who is put on your path at the right time, go take some cooking classes, spend some time learning about something, learn about different foods, about different spices, go out and you will meet people who, you will find stuff to talk about, and you will see, you may not find the perfect wife at that one, but you may find a really good friend that you hang out with, and he ends up inviting you to a party, and that's where you meet, his neighbor's sister. But it's going on the track of self, taking care of yourself and developing self is where you will find your thing. You don't have to go out and look, you don't have to, have a list. Well, you need to have a list of your standards. I won't accept being not listened to. I won't accept being overshadowed. I won't accept, somebody yelling at me. I won't accept being ignored, or, whatever you have on your list of how you see of the things that you expect from a relationship. There's nothing wrong with that, to have a standard and to know what you deserve. But when you're just trying to, figure it out, and you're trying to develop self, and you're going out and you're meeting people and you're doing things and you're putting yourself out there, you're making yourself vulnerable, and you're meeting people you wouldn't ordinarily meet. I mean, so many people who are grown adults just feel so trapped, and you meet your people at work, you end up hanging out with them. Some of them you don't even like. It's how do you even meet people anymore? And then they've got the whole social media thing that's a big, I mean, you got catfishes, you got people pretending to be somebody else, and not even just the catfish, but just people my age going on and putting pictures of themselves when they're 20 and 100 pounds lighter, and then going and showing up on dates and stuff. That's selling yourself is not as you are. And so, I don't see it as, there's been some successes. Some people have met some people online. I'm not saying that it's all 100%, but it's not our only way that we should be, acceptable for adults to meet. We need more of those meetups and social mixers and stuff, just for people to get out and have opportunities to meet one another and socialize. That is an important function for human beings. But so when you're out there developing self, that's when you will meet the people along your path that are good for you. And, and take your time to get to know people before you start getting in a relationship, but get to know yourself too, because that makes all the difference. And when I had heard that before, when I got in a relationship, I was super young, and I didn't really get the whole concept of it until later in life, when I've spent so much time now being alone and developing myself. And it is super, super important. It just changes your whole outlook on everything. And, it changes the whole entire world. And so, and before, when I was not just working on myself, I was just trying to struggle to stay, I was a workaholic, shopaholic, dysfunctional relationships. And I just felt like that's just the way it is. That's just life, But then, when everything goes wrong and you lose everything, and your whole path is just, up in flames, and you think you worked so hard and tried so hard, and, everything falls apart, and you have to go back in and rebuild everything. You get a new perspective. It gives you a completely different outlook on life. And I heard somebody talking about, like, this is the collective's near-death experience, what's going to happen. I mean, we're still waiting for it to happen. There's still just the lead-in, the dam's still breaking. But once that it does, and all the information is out there and stuff, that's going to be when the people are going to realize that it is their near-death experience. And that's why I keep saying, like, on a collective level, they're going to be going through what I went through on an individual level a few years back. And so that's why I try and talk about this stuff to help other people, because it's hard stuff to go through, and it's and you'll feel super confused, especially if you don't have a good connection with your higher self. And that's why, to me, that's one of the first things to work on developing, is your communication with your higher self, or however you want to see it, the overlord, the God that we all share. So if if you're just trying to get started, then that's where I would say to start. And I think a lot of that is with meditation and tuning into self, so you can start. And when things happen, you don't have to always be reacting and talking and stuff. Sometimes you can just listen, observe, and then think, and integrate how you feel about something. Don't just react and do something, because those are the patterns that we're trying to break. It's be more mindful and think about what you're going to do. Think about what you're going to say. Think about how it's going to affect somebody. Yesterday I had a thought, and like in the near-death experiences, and people go, or they have their life review, and then the people who have near-death ones, they get to come back. But the ones who thought, you get your life review, then you don't get to fix any of that stuff. If you get a life review on a near-death experience, you get to come back and fix that stuff. So with the, I was just thinking that, when you go through the near-death experience and you have the life review thing, you feel how you affected other people. So however, whatever you were doing, you will see how they felt. But then I was thinking, on top of that, it also gives you the feeling of to know, like, their intention. So how much of the stuff that is a projection of what you think, then you actually see that, like how much you were projecting your feelings, and you thought that was them. You were reacting to your own feelings. And I was thinking that I bet you that is a huge part, because once you see that you are reacting to the projection of self, then it gives you so much more clarity on judgment and acceptance, I believe. So I wanted to do another one real quick about timing and limitations. So I will finish this one here. And, just, if you're just getting started, I just say, really try and focus. The sun's coming in really bright. Really try and focus on your meditation and stuff, and you're listening to your inner voice. And if you are, already past that and stuff, there's a lot of stuff about finding, everything to me is about finding balance. Everything, no matter what, and not judging. I was thinking about this even the other day about the drinking thing and stuff, but it's all about balance, and that is what is important. Okay, I'll do the other one just a sec. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.